Well, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Podcast. We are your hosts, Justin and Lacey Zachman, where we explore life's adventures together. Well, it has been a while, that is for sure, doing a podcast, but also just like sitting down and doing a video because we've been on the Disney Wonder and just got through all those vlogs. So if you haven't watched those videos, we'll link those below. But now we're back in real time and we're like, let's just sit down today and talk about our experience because it was an adults only cruise.
It was.
I mean, for us anyway.
Yes.
Like, we didn't bring our kids on a Disney cruise ship. Now, we've done cruises before.
Disney cruise is like adults only cruise. Like, you know how they have certain sailings, like the themes of them.
Yeah. It
wasn't that.
It wasn't that. It was just, we didn't bring our kids.
Yeah.
And we've been on cruises before. Like, we've been on a cruise before without our kids, on a princess cruise. But on Disney, we haven't, except, well, I mean, for our honeymoon, we did. But that was the last time.
Yes.
So it's been 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Lacey was kind of like, I will never do this.
I was very much against it, especially because now where our kids are at in their ages, they love to cruise and we love it and it's a fun family thing. And so
it's the thing we do at least once a year, you know?
And so I just, can't imagine myself going without them and experiencing things. And, anyways, I was very against it, but Justin got his PowerPoint out and suckered me into it. There were many reasons. I was like, okay, I can see that. And, he got me on there. And would I do it again? Yes, I would.
Yeah, she would. And that's crazy because I was like, when she finally agreed to it, I'm like, this is probably gonna be a one and done thing. Mm-hmm. It's never gonna happen again. So enjoy it while it lasts.
But it wouldn't be on any ship again.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk more about that.
There's a lot we're going to talk about. We also ask you guys for questions. We'll talk about that. But before we get there, let's just kind of talk about our experience. Mm-hmm. But let's back up. We decided to do this because I'm going to be out of the country for our anniversary. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about doing some kind of like anniversary trip but before I left. But it needed to be like a long weekend because life... summer, kids are almost out of school. We had to squeeze it on in there. Actually, we're filming this on Friday. This is the first weekend in 3 weekends that we've been home. Mm-hmm. Like, we're in San Diego, we were at a conference, and then I was gone this last weekend. So it feels amazing to actually feel like we have like a weekend.
Home. Yeah. It's been like those weeks where like, why are they going by so fast? You're like, well, we've been gone every weekend and like long weekends.
Been here for 4 days and then gone for,
right.
3. So
so we really did squeeze it in.
We did squeeze it in. But, and so it was crazy because we're talking about what we're going to do. And I was like, why don't we just like, go to California, maybe like, I don't know, it's just fast for us to get there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why don't we go to San Diego and hit the Disney Wonder? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, why not? And she's like, because it had her reasons, because ultimately, how can we leave the kids here? And I was like, look, they've been on the Wonder before. This was our first ship when we got married. Mm-hmm. Like, this means something to us. Like, we should do this again because, again, like, it was on our honeymoon.
Yeah, and the itinerary couldn't have been more perfect. It was just, 3 night. That was 3 night, 4 days kind of thing. Yeah, so it was like, good long weekend. And it was, things close by. We went to places we've never been to before, Ensenada, Catalina Island. It was really cool. Yeah. And it's easy for us to get to San Diego. So I was like, okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I think what sold you was like, look, we did this when it was just us. Yeah. It's 15 years later. Let's just do it again and see what happens. I think that's the selling point.
It did. Right? And then I also know it wasn't like we were going on a new ship. Like, we just, did the Wish or Treasure, and the boys have, they've seen the Wonder before. They've been on the Wonder.
We're not doing the newer ships. We're just doing an old one. And okay. So that's kind of how we got here. And we'll discuss more later of if we're going to do it again and why and all that. I know there's a lot of you who may be against going on a Disney cruise without kids, and Lacey was there. I never was, I'm not gonna lie, but Lacey was there, and so we'll talk about why we will do it again later.
It's interesting because we ran into some of you guys on just some viewers on the ship, and 2 or 3 other couples, I forget, said they were on the ship without their kids.
Yeah, and that was really cool.
One of them was their first cruise, and they said they wanted to kind of check it out before they brought their kids.
Good idea.
And another couple said, we left our kids at home too. We're like, whoa. And so it was kind of fun seeing
We met a lot
around.
of you guys on this, and that was exciting. That was really cool.
Also, Justin real reason we needed to get on the ship was for the merch. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So because on our treasure, I was so bummed because I didn't come back with like anything. And a lot
Which
of you,
is so funny because we were on there for 7 nights and we're like, we got plenty of time to do shopping.
Isn't that weird though?
That's the biggest lie.
That's the problem because you have time and you procrastinate. Anyway, so yeah, we got on the ship because I'm like, look, like a lot of you guys have been frustrated at us. Like seriously, like hate comments. Be like, how can you film Disney cruise stuff without having the swag on?
Our community never hates
it's legit
like that.
though. I mean, it's criticism. I take it. Like
we'll take the feedback.
I'll take that feedback. And so I bought a hat. I bought a windbreaker. I bought a sweatshirt.
Yes.
Like I'm ready to do some filming for a while.
Right. And if you're watching, we bought Little Miss Ariel here because we're going to try to collect all of these from each ship because we just didn't do it before. And I think it's so funny because we've been on a lot,
I know,
almost all the ships. And now we're like, hey, let's start collecting these.
So we're going to have to go back on the Wish or some other ones to get it, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
It's so cute, especially because Junie loves Ariel. So we had to get that. And then we also got the ship. If you guys watch our vlogs, we redid our bathroom. It's all kind of like...
Have we showed that in the... We don't have it.
I think we have it.
So it'll be in our next coming
You'll
vlog,
see
like this next week.
We got like the cruise.
Yeah, we're vlogging again, which is crazy. It's always weird picking up the camera after vacation.
Yeah.
I'm not vlogging for a few weeks.
We're so excited, though, to be back into it. Like we were just talking about how we miss just... daily stuff with you guys.
There's a lot going on. We'll talk about why I'm going out of the country.
Busy.
We'll talk about our backyard. We'll talk about our garage. We'll talk about all
We've
kinds
already
of things.
repainted a lot. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No painting.
No painting. Well, actually, there might be some painting. Anyway, okay, back. We're just going to chat, guys. That's what we're going to do. It's been a while. We feel chatty today.
Right.
So the cruise, guys, I have to say it was fantastic. Now, I guess maybe we'll share a couple of reasons why we love cruising with just adults.
Right.
Obviously, we miss the kids. Of course, there's going to be times when you're like, oh man, Junie would love to see Ariel, or man, Tucker would love this, or Landon would die if he saw that. Of course, there's always going to be that. But for the most part, though, I was just like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Embarkation day was so chill. I'm like, are we really embarking on this ship?
It was
because
so
I'm
weird.
like, we get on and we're like, let's go to the adult area, and we sit down, soak up the sun, and there's just, what do we hear? Nothing. Just peace and quiet. Yeah. I'm like, what is happening?
Right.
Why is this I feel wrong. I honestly felt like guilty.
Yeah. Like we shouldn't be this relaxed.
We shouldn't be this vacation. But because, we didn't have to go to the kids area. We didn't have to go to the pool.
Yeah,
we didn't have to
get them like checked in.
We didn't have to go
different things,
to Cabanas and try to find some macaroni and cheese. And, we got to just like hang out, which was fantastic.
Sit down lunch.
Yeah.
And then usually, it takes quite some time to unpack a family of 5. And we just like unpacked our stuff in our room. We're like,
we're done?
Cool. We're done. Like,
so what do you want to do? I don't know. And I think that was weird for us is
like
with having kids, it's always like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
For us, there was like all this lull time where we're like, we can just relax. Like, what the heck?
I just sat out on our veranda for a while because we had a really beautiful sunny day on our embarkation day. So that was awesome. And just enjoyed that. And yeah, it felt like we were already at sea, that feeling that you have on embarkation day. And that was crazy.
That's what that's what it is. I felt like embarkation day was like 2 days.
Yeah.
Because we just chilled and, it didn't go by, it went by fast, but it just felt like we had time.
Right.
To like do what we wanted to do. We got so much done that we usually don't get done on embarkation day.
Yeah. We got to make our reservation for Paolo. So let's talk about that too. That was our first night. And when we got the reservation, the guy actually told Justin, oh, this is a really good night to do this. Like the first night,
he's
kids
like,
are tired.
Believe it or not, the first night is never really packed for Apollo.
Yeah.
But he's like, honestly, it's the best because everyone's exhausted. Kids are tired. So the dining rooms are a lot louder than usual.
And we're like, oh, okay. Because at first we're thinking, oh, we don't want to miss our first night to meet, like our waiter and staff and everything. But it ended up working out really well.
Well, we wanted, because we were only there for three nights, right?
Right.
And so we wanted to see Tiana's place, and we wanted to see
Animator's
Palette. So the one that were okay to miss was Triton's.
Yeah.
And it worked out that Triton's was our first night.
Yep.
So like, sweet.
That works out. Yeah. But Paolo was so much fun. That was our first time doing dinner there. We've done a brunch there before. And like they said, it was very quiet. Like I feel like we saw maybe 3 other couples, but by the time we left, it was just, it just felt like nobody was there. But it was
all the
so
attention was
peaceful.
on us. It felt like
the
wait staff is always amazing.
Yeah,
but for some reason, it felt like it was like even more like VIP because no one was in the dining room.
Right. Yeah, but the dinner was amazing and it was so fun. That was definitely a highlight for me of the trip. I'm really glad that we did that because
we're going back and forth.
Yeah, we were. We almost didn't do it.
I'm so glad we did. But again, I don't think I would do it with having kids. I just love the dinners with the whole family.
We do.
And so a brunch is one thing. Put the kids in the, Oceaneer Club and stuff. But for dinner, we wouldn't do it. So again, this is why going on an adults only cruise was amazing because it was fine. It was fine for us.
So another thing, just having it be an adult cruise for both of us, it was so fun, like doing things together. But we also have so much fun doing like things on our own. And that was really cool because the next day I ended up getting a massage the next morning. So I really enjoyed that. And then Justin, it was funny because I didn't even really know what you did until I watched it later in our vlogs. I'm like, whoa, you did a lot. He's like getting shots of different things and obviously getting coffee and just, it was so cool. And so that was really, I think, refreshing for both of us in that area because we do enjoy time alone as well. And so that was really cool to experience. Yeah. Because that never happens when we have the kids too.
When we have the kids, it's like you're sharing time all over the place. So you have like the family time.
Yeah.
Then you have like us time if we can. And then we have a small sliver of like our own alone time.
Right.
Which is literally like 30 minutes a day.
Very, very short. And so that felt really weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Because I had like the whole morning. I was like, whoa, I went to got a massage and then I went to the sauna afterwards. And then I just took my time getting ready. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm usually like, hurry, let me do my hair. Then we can do your hair, Junie. Boys get dressed,
I fell asleep.
That was nuts.
I fell asleep when you're getting ready.
Yeah.
I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean or something. I fell asleep on the bed.
Yeah. I remember
midday.
That too.
When does that happen with kids? They're usually jumping on top of me. Right when I lay down in the bed, it's time. That's a trampoline. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So.
And that was cool because you were like, I'm like, hey, I'm still getting ready. You're like, okay, I got pizza and I'm down at the adult area, and then I got to meet him down there.
Man, I was at the adult area so much because we're like, look, this is the thing. We got to soak this place in.
We really did.
Because you guys know we don't really care for the adult area on the newer ships and stuff. So the older ships, like we're all about, and we never get experience it. So we would go get our food at Cabanas, and we would like walk all the way to the adult area. Which, by the way, yes, you can do that. We had people stop us like, you can do that. Like, yeah, definitely. Whenever we would meet up, whenever like anything, we would always be, I'm at the adult area. I'm at the adult area. When in doubt, Justin is eating Pinocchio's pizza at the adult area.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like you'd find me there, like most likely. But I feel like another thing that was really cool was seeing this ship in just a different pace. Because again, we're always like running and gunning the next thing. But we were able just to walk the hallways, look at the art, talk to people, engage in conversation, just slow down. And that doesn't happen very often for us on a cruise. I mean, it does. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it was a whole different pace.
It was a very different pace. But it was just fun because, I don't know, I think I said this when we were on the ship, but I was just like, I think it was really special because, we did this 15 years ago together. Just little Justin and Lacey. I'll pop up a picture here. I found.
Do we have one?
I do. I was looking at it in our room. If you're watching and you can see us in front of a porthole, the one we have in our room.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and you can see us there. And just we were just getting into this life, and that we really just seeing what we enjoy, and then now that we enjoy things together still, and a lot has changed since then, and with our channel and everything, being able to bring that to you guys as well, it was really special. Like we had some really awesome conversations, and just hanging out, doing trivia together, animation, just all that stuff. Like we love this. Like this is a blast, and it was just relaxing.
I don't know if the audio changed or anything like that because we realized that we were plugged into the wrong thing. We have a backup audio. Not sure how it's all going to work out. So we'll just kind of see what happens. Hopefully we don't have to re-record. So we'll see. If you hear this part in here, it means that we didn't have to record. So that's good.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
But anyways, it was cool to see just us 15 years ago doing this together.
Yep.
And then going on it now and seeing that, the things that we enjoy together, we just still have fun. And then also doing an excursion together that kids can't go on. We did ATVs, was really fun.
I'm not really sure the age requirement.
Right.
ATV,
but our kids' age, I don't
No.
think would be able to do it.
No.
So that was really fun just to do something like that together.
Yeah.
And
because our next cruise that we're going on, which we haven't really talked about, we plan on doing a couple more different kind of excursions, which we're really excited about.
Yeah.
This last one on the Treasure, we didn't do very many. It was just a hard age with Junie, and we could have, but we decided not to.
Yeah.
So it was really cool being able to like just get out of the ship and do some things like that.
Yeah.
That was a fun experience. Lacey was like, I really want to get one of these. I'm like, a 4-wheeler? I'm like, okay. Like, let's get it.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. I was like loving it. I could have gone probably longer. I was like,
Yeah.
we're done. It was fun.
But, it was just a good time, like to reconnect. And, like Lacey was saying, we did this 15 years ago. So it's cool being able to, like, kind of, like, almost, like, remember. Like, I think we walked past our stateroom that we were in 15 years ago. And the Disney Wonder is so small. So you can get to point A to point B so fast.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. And we just remembered, like, when we were just little Justin, little Lacey running around. Like, just experiencing things the first.
Yeah.
Should we go back in those spaces with just us and be like, just remembering those days and now.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of conversations like, wow, 15 years later, like, did you imagine being on this ship? And then now we have 3 kids and, we're vlogging. It was just one of those things where it was like,
yeah,
like who would have known,
right. I do remember
those kind of conversations.
Right. When we first got on the ship, on our honeymoon and seeing the, atrium as it was before, the Grand Hall, and being like, this is huge.
Oh, yeah.
And just feeling like so lost on the ship. Like, I remember we were so confused.
Yeah, so lost.
Didn't know where we were. And just like, it was funny because we talked to a couple that we met on the ship and they just went on the Treasure. And they're like, wasn't it funny walking in and seeing the atrium again? You're like, oh, it's so small. Because after getting off the Treasure, it looks so
small.
tiny. Yeah.
It's almost like claustrophobic small.
You're just like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of fun just doing that. So anyway, definitely recommend going on a Disney cruise without kids. But let's just talk about, I think we had a question. Well, should we just go to the questions now?
Sure.
Okay, because I think there's going to be a lot more we'll talk about with the questions.
Right.
Katie Healy, 1972, said, besides Wonder, any other Disney ships you recommend for adults only? We were talking about this. I think the ones we would recommend for adults only would be the Wonder and the Magic. Not
you wouldn't
to
have
say
a good
that
time on the other ones.
Yeah. Not to say that, but I think your kids would actually have, I don't know, there's just more to do on the other ships, like the Dream, the Fantasy, the Treasure, the Wish, most likely the Destiny.
Right.
Like there's the Adventure. There's more to do on those ships.
Right. And
for
we were
kids.
talking about even when you get like your itinerary for the day and like the schedule of everything
There's
that's going
not
on.
that much to do.
There's not that much.
Compared,
exactly.
It's all perspective.
It is. And so when you look at that, you're like, oh, okay. But for us as adults, when it's like, I mean, we want to relax. We want to just hang out and, go to a different pace.
Yeah.
It is perfect in that sense. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. But with kids, we're like, hey, let's go to here. Let's go do this. We are more on the go.
I think we're okay with doing an adult cruise on the Magic and Wonder. I don't think if we went on the Fantasy or the Dream or Treasure, whatever, I think we'd be like, ah, man, I wish the kids were here.
Right.
I think, it's like we allow ourselves to be like, okay, these are for us, and just because of that, like, I think, again, the kids would have fun no matter what. We're cruising.
Yeah,
I mean, there's room service, there's food, there's activities, but
Absolutely.
it is a different kind of change of pace with these 2 older, smaller ships.
Yeah, and I would say especially to those of you if you've already sailed on the Wish or the Treasure, but you've never done the Magic or the Wonder before and you're going back to that, you might be like, whoa, like with kids, it's going to look a lot different because of how small it is. They do not offer as much.
Again,
the kids clubs aren't as cool. So it just, and not saying you're not going to have a great time, but it's going to be a different experience.
If you took your kids on the Treasure and then you take your kids on the Wonder, I wonder what your kids would say. Because we're thinking about that. I think our kids would have been like, this is small.
Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't be grateful.
Yeah.
But it is, even for us, we're like, this was a complete shift
Yeah.
in our minds for a while.
It
like
is.
we're like, it's small.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much to do. There's a lot more activities on the other ships.
Right.
Like the itinerary, like Lacey was saying, was like there's like 3 things on, and there was more. But
Yeah.
but it was fine for us. We loved it.
Yeah, that was the pace
I'm
we
just
wanted.
saying though, it is interesting.
Right.
So.
And we've talked to other people, and they said the same thing too. So yeah, so something to think about. So Tracy Armstead said, "Will Lacey do it again?" We already kind of talked about that before, but
well, yeah.
Yes, I will. And I mean, I didn't think it would be something I would ever do, and after doing it, I was like, okay, I would do it again for sure.
So for the magic and the wonder, you would do like an adult's cruise again, but you wouldn't do it on the other ships.
I don't know. I don't think so right now.
I
where
feel,
they were at with
where
the
they're
kids.
at.
Yeah.
I feel like with the bigger ships, there's more activities. There's more things where I think we would be like, oh man, I wish the kids were here on this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I wish the kids were here on this. But because the pace was so different on the wonder,
Yeah.
we weren't getting to that spot of like, oh man, I wish the kids were here for this.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. And I remember saying that too on the ship. I mean, there was very few things because the way we paced ourselves where we were at, I feel like I didn't see, it's weird to say that, but a lot of kids, because we weren't down in the kids clubs area, we didn't go to the things where kids were at. And so
It's true.
Except for the shows, that was the only time I was like, oh man, the kids would have loved the show.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a lot of moments.
Let's talk about that for a minute. We get a lot of questions asking, hey, would you still recommend us going on a Disney cruise even though we don't have kids?
Right.
And we're like, yeah, I mean, it's great. But again, it's been 15 years since we've done it. And doing it again, I have to say, like, yes, 100%. You are going to enjoy yourself, even though if you don't have kids. And we get questions like this a lot, like, is it loud? Is there kids everywhere? Are we going to be able to relax? And Lacey brought up a point where it's like, we really didn't notice a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of kids on the ship. But because we weren't in the kid spaces, because we were in the adults area, because, the only times we would see kids would be in the dining room or
Which there weren't as many because we were late dining.
We were late dining, yeah.
And then if we were walking through the pool deck to get, some chicken strips.
Or the shows, but everyone's, watching the show.
Right.
So it was interesting looking back on it now, being like, man, we have kids too, so we're not like bothered by kids. We absolutely love kids, and it was fun just like watching other kids, and the smiles on their faces.
Like the sail away party.
Oh, it was so cool. It was the best.
Yeah.
But it was so quiet. This cruise was so quiet because again we weren't in all those other spaces. So yeah, if you don't have kids, you're gonna if you love Disney and you don't have kids, you're gonna absolutely love this cruise.
You will, and you can make it very relaxing, and it can be like Justin said, especially with the older ships, how they have the adult area. What's that area called that you turn the corner?
After hours?
Yeah. So when you go into after hours and you go back there, it's just quiet. Like it's just it just feels very.
And they still use that space during the day for kids who can still go back there.
Yeah,
in the day.
for a few different.
But then after a while, when it's just adults area, it's like, it's just separate from the ship,
right?
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Pure Glow Beauty said, how was it compared to the Treasure? I honestly think, and I think some of you even asked for this, but I think it might be good for us to do a video of comparing the old ships and the new ships. And because you think like, well, how could you compare that? There's a new ship. And there's things we absolutely love about the older ships that we don't like about the newer ships. And then there's vice versa.
Right.
For example, I absolutely love Marceline Market. I don't like Cabanas anymore.
No, we went there once and we did not want to go there again.
And I was actually talking to our friends about this, and a lot of you guys know them, Tyler and Jessica Braun. They actually have a podcast called Disneyville. You gotta check it out. We'll link it below. But we're talking about this very thing, and I was always kind of like, when it was during COVID and Cabanas started like serving you, rather than you serving yourself, I was kind of like, oh man, what a bummer. I like serving myself.
Right.
And then when we went to Marceline Market on the Wish, they served you. And I was kind of like, oh man, I think I kind of miss Cabanas. I kind of miss just serving myself. I feel like it's faster.
Food. Right.
I felt like it was faster. No. actually it's slower. And also it's so slow because everyone's like taking like multiple scoops, and you look at people's plates, you're like, you're not gonna eat all that. Like it's crazy.
Well, I don't know if we hit it at a bad time or a busy time, but yeah, it was so.
Well, every time we went in there, it
packed.
wasn't like we would go multiple hours of the day.
Right, that's true.
Because there was some times where we would get like, you know, when Lacey said never again, we did go there again.
Oh, we did, yeah, for lunch.
Yeah. So, and I went there a couple other times to get a couple other things. So, but I think for breakfast, we're like, no, like we're done for breakfast. But for whatever reason, it was almost, and I don't get grossed out very often. I just don't. But I kind of got a little grossed out on how people are serving themselves. And I won't go in detail. I don't want to ruin it. It was still fine. You'll be just fine. But Marceline Market on the newer ships is perfect.
And then the line system is a little different than Cabanas to Marceline Market. I love how they have just sections in Marceline. So
because the way Cabanas is set up is you don't have to wait in the entire line, but everyone does.
They do, yeah.
Right when the door opens to Cabanas, everyone's like in this line. You can actually leave, and there's other like stations that you can get plates and start the line, but no one knows that because it's just like boom, it's there, so everyone just grabs a plate and waits.
Yeah.
And so we share about that in our vlogs. But Marceline Market is everything is like different pods everywhere, and so in your brain you're like, oh yeah, there's just different areas. I don't have to wait, and I don't have to wait for here to there to there.
Yeah, it just helps the flow of traffic
so
much better.
And so coming from, you know, Cabanas to Marceline Market, I was like, this is really cool. But now going back from Marceline Market to Cabanas, I'm like, they did a lot of research in just how to maneuver lines and crowds.
Right. They did.
It was fantastic.
Absolutely.
So there is a lot more that we would like to share. That's a really good question. So we'll probably do a video that will talk about just the differences.
Yeah, I think we'll need to sit down for a whole video.
I mean, there's just so many things that were like, man, I absolutely love the older ships.
Right.
And I don't want them to change. Like, keep them this way. But there's some other things where I'm like, do not like that at all.
Yeah. And, you know, there was things they thought through, like, okay, we're going to do this differently, you know, and that's why. So Phil Coleman, 86, said, was it hard getting all that uninterrupted sleep? It's like a laughing face. Okay, you guys, we were in the aft, was it, of the ship?
Yeah.
And we're usually midship. So that was a little bit different. And I don't know if you feel a little bit more the vibration if you're in the aft. But, man, we slept so stinking good.
You guys know planes, trains, and automobiles? You know, when they have like the quarter and they put it in and it kind of like vibrates their bed. Like, it felt like that.
It's not like that extreme.
Oh, I know, but there was a subtle.
Yeah.
And like right when we hit the pellet, like one time we were going in to do something, we ended up almost falling asleep. We're like, we got to get out of here. We're going to fall asleep tonight.
Because we wanted to go to karaoke
because it's just like this
something.
perfect little, just like, you know, rockabye baby kind of thing.
Oh, man. But yeah, of course,
amazing.
Not having kids and then that as well, we got very good sleep.
Yeah.
Man. I remember we had to get up a little bit early to get on our excursion for Ensenada, and I was like, oh, I just want to sleep. Like, I slept great.
I'm actually glad that we had that excursion because I think we would have slept till like noon or something.
Probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions like Journey to Disney said, how would you compare the older ships after having been on the Wish and Treasure? I think we're definitely going to have to do a video of that.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about. How do you balance missing the kids and enjoying your alone time? Do you want to talk more about that? Because for me,
you don't really struggle as much in this area.
I don't struggle with it.
I struggled with it the day we left. If you watched our vlogs, we talked a little bit about it. I was in tears taking the kids to school, and I cried at the airport.
You should explain kind of like the scene, okay? Like what was going on.
So I'm dropping off the kids, and they're just, talking to me like, I hope you have a good trip, and what are you going to do when you get on the ship, and are you going to do this? And I just like felt so bad. And I'm like, okay, like, it's going to be different. You guys, it's not what you think. Like, it'll be boring for you. But anyways, so I, called Justin, and I'm like crying, and he's on your laptop. I don't know what you're doing, like editing probably, but you got these, like, he's really into the rock What is his line? Papatua?
I don't know. Papa Tua.
Their
It's like
skincare
the whole
line.
skincare line or whatever.
You're like really into it, and
I got in deep, guys, with it. That's with me with anything. I'll start a little bit here and there, and then before you know, I have like the deodorant, the lotion, the body lotion, the face wash.
you gotta get everything.
I have everything.
It's not just one product.
No, it's not.
And so he's like, "Oh, what are these?" And they're, the little patches you put under your eyes to help with,
These things are fantastic.
we're in our mid-30s, we're getting the wrinkles, and so
yeah, I got bags in my eyes, and I threw those. Those are actually.
But they're black, so it's funny.
Awesome.
They look like little football.
They do.
Like
they look pretty cool.
So he's got those on, and he's just
busting
music on his laptop, like just vacation mode. I'm like, you're just doing great, aren't you? He's like, oh yeah, like I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's do this. And I'm like a wreck and crying. Classic. So anyways, that was the hardest time for me. It was just leaving, saying goodbye.
Actually, I had those things because I'm a little bit self-conscious having those on because I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like a spa. But I went to Marco, my friend, and I had him on.
Oh, you did?
He's like,
what are you wearing?
He's like, what are those? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, they're these things with the bags. He's like, dude, send me the link because I need some of those. I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
okay, cool. But I would say by the time we got to dinner that evening, actually a little bit before, when we got in our hotel, we're sitting on our balcony. I was like, okay, I'm good. And I really got into vacation mode, and it was just so fun just to have time with us, just, as a couple, not worrying about taking care of kids or anything like that. And it's just, it was much needed, and oh my gosh, it was just awesome. I'm so glad we did this trip.
So so the question too was like, how do you balance missing the kids?
Okay.
So was it kind of a thing where it was like, because it just seemed like we got to a spot though where we weren't really like, we always missed the kids.
Yeah.
But it wasn't consuming. Like,
no. And
I think it was because it was just a weekend.
Right. It wasn't a long time.
I think if it was like a week or something, that would be a little bit harder because you're preparing yourself for like, I'm not going to see our kids for a week and a half.
Yeah,
it was 3 days.
Right.
I think like we got over it pretty fast, or at least, I mean, I was already over it, but for her, by the time we got to San Diego, you're like, I think when we got to our hotel and we were looking out on the bay and we're getting some sun rays, you're like, okay, this is going to be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we FaceTimed them when we were on the ship to say goodbye to them because we told them we would. And then we didn't talk to him till.
And that's the thing. We didn't talk to him. Like we said goodbye. It was a weekend.
Right.
But we didn't try to like text them or FaceTime them. This is the thing. They're also, I think we've talked about this before, but it's good for our kids to not be around us all the time. And what I mean by that is they love being with their cousins and grandparents, right? And so we want to make sure that they have their time. And they were having a blast.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it's good for us to know that they need this time too. And so, yes, we put away our phones. We said goodbye to them. And we didn't talk to them for a couple nights. But I think it was good for them too.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah.
I think that's kind of how we balance it. We realize it's good for everybody.
It is.
And we kind of like, and maybe you have to tell yourself that just a few more times. Like, this is actually good for them. It's good that we're not there. Like, they need some time with their grandparents or whoever, because when you come back, because, what is it? Time makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing. It's like when you come back, everyone's so thankful and we missed everyone. And it's good. It's good to have space.
Right. It is.
Kimeve.beauty said, can you rank your favorite Disney ships in order?
Well, before we answer that one, can we back up?
Okay.
Then this will kind of go into it.
Sorry, Kimeve.
Sorry, we're going to back up a bit. Brittany Rushing 13 said, have y'all ever been on the Dream? So that is one ship we have not been on. It's hard to rank when we haven't been on the Dream. I can't believe that one squeezed by us.
We were talking to someone on the Wonder, and they can't make it on the Fantasy.
Yeah, just for whatever reason, the itinerary never works out.
Yeah, we can't make it on the Dream. I don't know why.
We've done the Wonder 4 times.
That's so
We've done the Magic
weird.
ones. We've done the Fantasy ones. We've done the Wish. We've done the Treasure. So funny, but we could never. We've tried different ways. Never worked out with the itinerary. Never worked out the dates. We want to get on the Dream, and then we can finally do a solid ranking. I mean, and then there's the Destiny coming up, but
yeah, well, you know, we'll talk more about that later.
So we'll go back to the other question to rank for the ones we have been on.
I honestly feel like the Treasure is my favorite ship. I think it goes the Treasure, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
And then I really like the fantasy though.
I did too.
So I think I would go treasure, fantasy. I think wish. I think the treasure took place of the wish. So it's like I'm not gonna put it up as my favorite. I think I would actually go treasure, then I would go to fantasy, and then I would probably go to like the wonder because it's like our first ship, and then I would probably put the wish. Then I put the magic. The magic would be my last.
Yeah.
Because it's a small ship. It's kind of like the wonder. I don't have this nostalgia with it like I do with the wonder. So that's why I would put the wonder, and then I would put the wish. Then I would put the magic.
Gotcha. So for me, I'm gonna start below. So I'd be the same thing, magic, but then I'd go one.
Oh wait. How are you doing this?
I'm starting lowest to highest.
Okay. Wow. Why does your
my brain?
Okay. It hurts my brain for a minute.
I know.
I mean, it makes sense.
I can see you're getting
No,
confused.
it makes sense. I just have to flip my brain around.
I know.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. It's probably better doing it this way.
I would say
the grand reveal is what you're doing.
It
I
is.
see.
It
okay.
is.
It's all about the promotion.
So I would say magic for my least as well, and the same as you. And that poor ship, we should give it another chance, but we were on it right before it dry docked, and it was just leaking everywhere.
I thought we were gonna. I thought it was gonna be the Titanic.
Gosh. If you guys want to see our vlogs of that, you can see
there was water coming down the elevator shafts
everywhere, the chandelier. So, anyways, it was funny because we got to see it dock next to us on the treasure, and I'm like, you're looking better because it needed it. Yeah. Even the staff, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this shit."
Well, do
really
we talk about on our vlogs when we're at the treasure that people's Wi-Fi wasn't working because the magic was pulled up?
Yeah.
And they found, and this may not be 100% fact, but this is what the cast member said that they were thinking, that it was because if you've been on the magic, your Wi-Fi connected to that, because with like phones they'll connect if you've,
That's so interesting.
And so that was the problem. We had to like reset everything to connect back to the treasure. Anyway,
because we've been on the magic. Yeah. That is really weird. Anyways, so magic, and then I would actually go wonder, and then I would go fantasy, and then wish, and then treasure. I loved the wish and treasure. So treasure is top tier because I love the theming. Absolutely, it was just like favorite ship. But I thought the wish was so just whimsical and beautiful too. So they're really tied to me.
Well, okay, the reason why I put the wish down there is not because I didn't like it. It was just because the treasure and the wish seemed similar to me, but I would do the treasure. If it was like, hey, what do you want to do? The wish or the treasure? I would say the treasure.
Yeah.
But we've had this conversation before. It's hard for me to say that because what if I don't want to do a 7-night cruise?
Right.
Because 7 nights is a long time. Mm-hmm. The Destiny is like a 5-night, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I feel like that's actually kind of a sweet spot cruise for me is a 5. Because for me, I kind of want to go to the parks. It's hard going on a cruise without the parks.
Yeah.
But when it's a
love the parks.
But when it's a 7-day cruise, it's like that's a long time to go to the parks too.
Right.
Okay, I digress. I guess what I should say is my order is gonna ever be changing.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Because if it was I don't know, that's hard. You see what I mean? Because the 7-night and 3-night thing.
Right.
I don't know.
I know.
Get back to me later. I'll think about this a little bit longer. I feel like that's a good ranking. Yeah. Maybe I'll just kind of go with that because I really do like the newer ships. Mm-hmm. For sure. And especially coming from the new back to the old, it gave me just a little more respect for the newer ones. Mm-hmm. It did. It just gave me more respect. Because before there was a lot of like bad press, with the wish of just
because
like,
of how themed
it was, mm-hmm. and all this kind of stuff, and how the elevator systems were, and all this stuff. And I was like, geez, like how bad is it? And then when you go on to it, I think you are really shocked because it is so different. Mm-hmm. But then when you go from that back to the old, you're like, they did a good job actually.
They really did. And
it's perspective.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is. And because they thought through so much, and like the areas and the spaces, we love the theming, and it's just, I think it's so fun because like you said, we love the parks, and they're bringing the parks to the ship.
And they do a good job for the kids.
They do a really good job.
Because, the kids, I mean, just things are changing. They, just with just like the culture we live in, with how entertaining it is. And they did a really good job of putting like the IP onto the ships. And so it just makes sense for kids.
Right.
And they're really entertained, and they just did a good job.
AE Blonde 53 said, is there anything you learned to do during this cruise that you'd do with your children on your next? I would say with that, we haven't done excursions in quite some time. And so doing that again this time around, we realized how fun it is because you truly get to not only just, see a little bit of, wherever your port is, you really get immersed in it when you do an excursion. And they have some really cool ones that Disney offers. And so I think after we did that and how much fun it was, we were thinking, okay, like we need to take the kids more on excursions and get to see a little bit more off the ship.
Yeah.
And like we've shared in the past, we didn't with the treasure. Like we got off at the ports and, we got to see a lot, but I think excursions would be something we'd like to do for sure more next time.
Yeah, we'll talk more about like our future plans for cruises and stuff, Disney cruises, our next one and all that later, but that definitely is going to be in the books for sure.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, and we didn't do it the Wish either because it was such a short cruise. I mean, we only had Castaway and then Nassau, so.
But I think we used to do them all the time when the kids were really young because we'd also have like grandparents with us and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been a season where we haven't done much of it.
Yeah. So excited.
So I feel like we're kind of at that next season where it's like, all right, let's do this. So I think that would be my answer as well. Well, guys, I think we're going to end it right there. There still is a lot of questions, but I think we're going to do a video that's going to kind of share the comparison, and I think some of these questions will be perfect for that
Covering
video.
that.
But anyways, it was fun just getting back here and chatting. Hopefully we didn't have to re-record because I'm just thinking about like our time, and we're going to a baseball game tonight, and I'm just like, we don't have the time. But it wouldn't be the first time, it won't be the last time that we have to re-record.
I know.
Anyway, it's going to be back in real time.
Yes.
We will have a vlog coming out this next week, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again for asking these questions. And if you don't follow us on Instagram, that's usually where we ask for questions. So it is at Our Z-Roll. If you're listening to this in your car or wherever you're at, thank you so much. And you can also watch us on YouTube as well. Is that everything?
That is it.
Also, I got this new mug too.
Oh,
if you're watching.
If you're watching. It like matches your sweatshirt perfectly. It's so funny.
It does.
I know.
Literally did not realize that until now.
Just now as well. How funny.
Interesting. Okay, guys. We love you. We'll see you in the next one.